Welcome to the Immigrant Podcast. Listen to me today, foodies, fitness buffs. Welcome to Tip. You are embarking on a flavorful packed journey with Chef Dubraska. Welcome to the sizzling world of flavors right here on the Immigrant Podcast. From the mouth-watering dishes to heart-pumping tunes, we are cooking up a storm and about to get dancing through life's delicious moments. Let's dive into the stories that feed the souls and leave our taste buds tingling. Get ready because we are about to turn up the heat and flavors in a way only Chef Dubraska can. Chef Dubraska, welcome to Tip.
Thank you so much for having me over. I mean, it's an honor to be here, and hopefully I can share some of my life experience, and those will be helpful or meaningful, or people can relate to them.
That would be fantastic. Talking about life experiences as an immigrant, I notice you have a flag on your head. So, hey, how about walk us through what's the drag on your head?
Well, this is the Venezuelan flag, and it has 7 stars, and it's actually right now my trademark. How on social media and even on my events, people know me. They know that I'm the Venezuelan chef, but you know that I carry my culture, my background with pride, but also I carry the places that I have the opportunity to live, which have been 6 countries in total. I carry a little bit of those also in my heart, in my food, and the flavors and the things that my company, this is my Dubraska's Delights, that's my catering bit.
Yes.
So I think as an immigrant, as an expat, which was part of the life that I had to live in the past 30 years, moving from one place to another gave me an exposure to different flavors, to different people, different cultures, religions, and I think one thing always opens the conversation. There is no one who doesn't like food or doesn't like to eat. And I think food is something that unites everyone, no matter where you come from.
Yes, food is such a uniter of people, and in that there is this wonderful saying I love to use, which is variety is spice of life. Now, while we're thinking about how you can spice our lives, let's jump into your professional career first. And as you are a lawyer, you're also a certified Zumba instructor. You have also said, and I quote, "Our taste buds are limited to only one type of cuisine." With your experience in Latin, Mediterranean, Lebanese, I believe, because your husband is Lebanese, Indian, Asian, and American cuisine, how does law and food discipline crisscross or intersect each other?
Well, I think any education or background that you have will always impact the way you lead your life and your family life, the way that you also think and the way that you develop your projects in life. For me, I think after leaving Venezuela, which that's where I was an attorney, and coming to the US, I always kept in touch with that part of my life. I was for a while a realtor. Then the children came, and I homeschooled my 2 children, my eldest ones. And I think everything that you learn leads you to a place. Let's fast forward things a little bit. While living overseas, again, food was a big part of our lives. And any place that we went to live, I tried to use food and that critical thinking to be helpful, to teach, to help others. So we lived in Mexico for about 7 years. There is a cookbook that was written or that I wrote there to help Operation Smile do a full mission there. I think there is a saying that much is given to you, you need to be responsible and give also back. And I think if I have something in my life to feel proud and happy about, it's not only my family, but it's probably that book and those 200 and almost 50 children that they got the gift of surgery and for cleft lip and cleft palate. So I think we go through life, and maybe when you're young, you don't see how responsible we are. Not to change the whole world, I don't have that expectation, but at least to change a little bit of the life.
You stop now. Do not undersell yourself at all. See, this is the thing about immigrants, right? We chose to leave our countries behind. We chose to leave our love behind because you have a passion for the place where you grew up. You have a passion for the culture that molded who you are, right? And you chose to give that up to come to a different country where things were different, where life was different, but you took that risk so that you could make your life better, the generations that follow you better, and the people around you better. So yes, take pride in what you have accomplished so far because you've worked tremendously hard to get there. When did you realize it was food, not law? And can you describe a moment of culinary epiphany when blending two completely different cuisines? And what did this teach you about cultural boundaries in food and decision making when it comes to living your passions?
Oh my God, that is a lot of questions at once. Let's start one at a time.
There you go.
Put all of this together. Since I was a child, my first conscious memories are in my kitchen with my mom and dad on that stove with a little stool trying to cook meals. So the passion has always been there. 40 some years ago, being a chef was not something that my parents probably supported. So I had to study law, which was something that I was passionate about. I moved to the US because I married my husband. My husband was working in Venezuela. We met, we fell in love, we came here, and I had to reinvent myself. I came to the US with very little English skills, so I had to learn another language, another culture, adjust, change. With that came children and different jobs, different things. With that came moving overseas. We went and we lived in Mexico twice. We lived in India for 3 years. We lived in Abu Dhabi. We lived in Qatar. That was our last post. And then we returned. By the time we returned, after more than 15 years overseas, I had the opportunity to make the decision. Should I go back and pass the bar in the US? It would have been probably easier, a year and a half only of studying and getting it ready. Or do I embark on something else? Life has a way of teaching you things. And I'm not going to say God, but I can say the universe puts you sometimes in the right place, even if you don't feel it or you don't know it. My country has been going through a very difficult, my country of birth, difficult process. Political, economic, social, and at that point my sister, my brother-in-law, and my 2 nephews had to leave. My sister's company she used to work was taken by the government. She had to flee. She showed up here in 2018, just a year after, or less than a year after I had returned from Qatar, and I found myself with 10 people in my house, with still young children. I said, what am I gonna do? They didn't have papers. They were immigrants again. They started a process of political asylum. And I said, well, what do I know how to do? And I think I do really well. And I said, well, let's cook. Let's cater. Let's do something, because you guys need an income and you still don't have the proper papers, but you can work with me and we can make this happen. So yes, that's how Dubraska's Delights was born. It was born to help other immigrants. and that's what I'm still doing. Now in my business, I hire immigrants, and I try to hire minorities. Yes, I'm not shy about saying that. I hire women, I hire minorities, and then I hire everyone else afterwards. But my business has grown with that in mind. It started with that. That was the root of it. And I started no training whatsoever, only my empiric knowledge and the knowledge that I acquired through 45, 50 years of probably cooking and the places that I lived. And then once I came here, I said, well, that's when the lawyer came in there, and I say, well, I'm going to do this. I need to do it legally, legitimately. I need to do it the right way. I need to get the tools that I need. So pandemic hit. And then I said, well, the business went to shit. I'm sorry to say the bad word. And at that point I said, I need to go back to school. So I went back. I got my culinary degree first, culinary arts, and then I said I'm gonna continue because we had a couple of years really bad. So I went and I finished also pastry. So now I have that. Now I have a couple of products. Let's go back to our roots. So the things that we like, the flavors that we know. We grew up with a little chili called ají dulce, which looks like a habanero chili, but it's absolutely delicious and sweet. It has nothing to do with eatness. It's aroma, it's flavor. And I hadn't seen it in 25 years. So 5 years ago, somebody in Florida started producing it, a Venezuelan. That's how things also connect. So they are my product. Now I make this product. It's sold online. I sold through my Instagram page. So I sell a sofrito, which is a base for any savory cooking in the Hispanic culture. And also I make a marmalade with that is also sold. And I sell my Christmas cakes or black cakes that almost in the African community too, and the islands is made very similar to the Venezuelan one. It has a lot of booze in there, a lot of dry fruits. Has nothing to do with the American Christmas cake that you can kill someone with that because it looks like a brick. Moist, flavorful, and it can last without refrigeration almost a year or so. So,
wow.
I am at a point where I'm not that young, but I'm not that old. I think we all, no matter how old we emigrate out of our place, if we have a dream in our hearts, in our mind, our soul, we can always make it come true. How do we do it? Well, we need to look at things that's around. We need to learn from others. We need to see how we can prepare ourselves better to do those things. Studying is a way, working with others, getting mentors is another way. Using whatever tools are around, I think is very important. But never feel that because you are older or because you don't come from the right environment or because you don't look like people around you, because maybe you don't have, or you think that you don't have the right color of skin, that will hinder or prevent you from realizing your dreams. I think your dreams are your dreams, and it's our obligation to make those dreams come true, to make them happen, to come to pass. Is it easy? Absolutely not. It's not easy. You have to work for them. There are many things that you have to sacrifice, and that's the part. People like to hear the pretty part of the business or how you got there, but there are all kind of sacrifices that need to be made.
Yes.
And sleepless nights, work, and many times at a loss. Because at the beginning of a business, it's not that you're gonna see millions or profit right away. How many times I have work and I pay my workers, but I don't pay myself.
What is that sacrifice like, especially as a business owner? And I can speak for myself in the early years when I had to sacrifice and pay my vendors and pay my teammates, but never take anything home. What is the value of that? Because as you're taking care of everybody and not taking care of yourself, I'm assuming you're also enjoying life or living life, which means you're creating debt. How did you protect yourself from that and continue to grow a successful business?
Well, one of the things that I guess I have to say and recognize is the fact that I am married and I have someone who supports me and helps me, when I need to fall into something, I
Yes.
have something to fall back onto, I think the struggles will be probably harder for someone who what they are starting is everything for them, is their income, their life, their livelihood. It brings me joy to be able to pay to my workers and to pay decent salaries,
Yes, of course.
Wage, but making sure that they are taken care of, because that was the goal of this dream, to grow
Yes.
and help people along the way, to maybe train them to go and do something else. Maybe Dubraska's Delights is not their last stop. It's just a little stop on the road, because what it is for them is much better, and I hope it is. Actually,
Yes.
I dream that whatever they have, they're passing through my business or the jobs that I have done with me is just something in their path, but it's not the final step for them. So there is that joy, and that helps me keep going and not get discouraged. It's easy to get discouraged. Working in a kitchen, working in the food industry is taxing. It's taxing on your body, your legs. It's long hours, and sometimes it's not very well appreciated. One of the things that I have done is I choose the people that I work for. At the beginning of my business, I used to do work for everyone, for anyone. I will take whatever came along the way. I didn't think many things through. Now I choose the jobs that I take.
Yes.
The ones that are profitable. And then those are the ones that I'm doing. Because before, many times, just to get the name outside, to get things going, I will take anything. And I was working at a loss. And this is what experience gives you. You have to make sure that, yes, there is something, but at least, even if you don't pay yourself, at least there is some money there to reinvest on the business, because the business requires equipment that you need to buy. A business requires, you have to pay the sale, the taxes, you have to, even do continuing education, get courses that you need to take. You need to pay different kinds of fees yearly. I have to pay liability insurance. All those things need to come out of that business. Otherwise, what am I doing? So I think it's very important for people who think about going into this food industry that they don't give away for free their work. Their work has value, but also to think that they're not going to sell whatever. No, you have to take pride on your product too. You have to sell the best that you can. And this is something that I tell many people. If you are not gonna even eat what you make, if that's not the product that you eat in your house for yourself, please do me a favor, don't sell it to anyone. Because people
Awesome.
sometimes say, that is commercial product. No. You don't start a business. You don't start a product saying it's for somebody else. No. You cook like if it were for you, the best quality ever. Whatever you do in life, you have to give the best you can. The best quality, the best flavor, the best presentation, the best packaging that you can with your possibilities. And in those bases, going there, if you do the best, people will know your quality. People will recommend you. You will get the referrals that you need. But if you start with a lower quality, with a lower, expectations on your own products, then I don't think there is a way for the future. So do the best you can. Do me a favor. Anybody who's listening, do absolutely the best and more. Go above and beyond, because that's what it will give you, that return. That's what will make your brand, your name, different than anybody else. Give your brand that spirit of yours. Everything that I cook, I'll give a little bit of myself, a little bit of my Latin culture, a little bit of my years in the Middle East, a little bit of, India. And one of the things that I've learned about food and about living in many places is that no matter where you are, no matter which cuisine, you will find similar ingredients in all of them. It's just the way they use them might be different.
Yeah.
But cilantro, for example, coriander, you find it in every culture, and the Middle Eastern might not be in the Italy, in that part of the Mediterranean area, but yes, you will find coriander in Latin America, in India, in Asia,
In Africa.
in Africa. How about gourds and pumpkin and all of these squashes? Yes, Africa will have them. Latin America
will have them.
And they are so delicious. And why not use them in different ways? Why not give them a spin, give them a different life? And for me, another thing, part of my business is, let's not waste. Let's use everything. Respect the ingredients. Use them properly and use everything. I talked to a lot of them millennials, and they talk about, we are ecologically friendly, and we're seeking sustainability. Well, let me tell you something. What is sustainable? If you're gonna eat one animal, please eat the whole animal. Over here, I'm seeing this a new movement, because 30 years ago, rarely you found like visceras or second grade cuts of meat. Now you're finding them. People are starting to eat, liver and stomach and tripe and heart and kidneys and brain and all of those things that I grew up eating.
Yeah.
Feet. You eat everything. You kill a cow. You eat everything and you use everything, because even the feet are full of collagen. That skin, the leather, you will use for rugs and other things. The horns in my country, we use them to put, water and stuff to drink. I mean, I'm sure in Africa they do the same. There is use for every, and that is something that I am extremely vocal about. Here in the US, you find filet mignon, ribeye, No.
It's bonkers how you look at life, right? And how you've brought all these things from across the globe. I mean, in Africa, we use animal horn as a tool for socializing, because you'll find a group of elderly men sitting around beer or alcohol, and they're drinking it from the horns, right? So I understand the concept of utilizing the whole animal. I think that's how God intended it, right?
Absolutely. And I think it's a joke when many youngsters say, well, that is not sustainable. Well, something? sustainability goes beyond not eating animals,
Yes.
It goes beyond that concept. It goes beyond maybe driving a car that is electric. It goes beyond maybe eating beyond meat, which, by the way, to be able to produce that vegan meat, I think there is more emissions and more electricity use and more gas than maybe eating a cow, if you obviously eat it the proper, or maybe, whatever people, we are in Texas, and I'm also vocal about not using stuff like that. But, I see people here love to hunt animals. And then what do they do with those animals? You hunt an animal, you kill an animal, well, do me a favor and eat the freaking animal. Make salt.
Eat everything you mean.
Make whatever you need to do with the animal. Don't go and do a sport and have fun, and then what? I don't know. Maybe I'm still a rebel at heart. I always, and that's something I always, even as a child, I was always thinking about things and maybe going against the flow in many aspects and saying, that doesn't sound right, that doesn't add up. And I think we need to have a critical thinking, and I think we need to go beyond politics, and let's enter now into immigration and things like that, because to me that is I'm an immigrant.
Yeah.
My husband is an immigrant.
Yes.
We have lived as immigrants in other places, so we have seen how things are done in other places also when you are an immigrant, and what is happening here in the US is kind of hard for me, because you have a population that is extremely divided, and people who think that immigration is such a bad thing, and others complaining, well, we agree only with legal immigration, and those illegals coming. Something, we live in Texas, and most of the people who live in the South, whether they like it to admit it or not, they know that life is cheaper, they have a bigger house, their produce is cheaper, because we have illegal immigrants doing most of those jobs. You see, your roof, maybe the company that you hire is legal, but I can tell you, probably a big percentage of the workers that work for that guy are illegal. And maybe he charges less for that roof is because he pays less. So I hate with passion when people just open their mouth and say things about immigrants, legal and illegal.
So that's the other part, right? When we blanket create terms for people, is that not a way for us as a country or as politicians to start creating that divisiveness between people when we say illegal and legal immigrants? Why are they not people? Why are they supposed to be documented or undocumented, right? And so walk us through, having migrated to so many countries, where has America gone wrong when it comes to immigration?
I think it's, we have political parties here, and each one just throw on his side. And I think one of the problems lately is that the divide is even wider now.
Yes, it is.
I think Mr. Trump did something very, very intelligently, actually, but very evil, in the sense that he makes sure to divide people more, to create us against them. I came here in 94, at the beginning of 95, and yes, you had different political parties, but somehow I felt that people were trying to find a middle ground. Now there is no middle ground. It's either way to the left or way to the right. How do you, I feel that things have been going wrong here. Why don't we, and that's something that I saw living in the Middle East. We will never be in Qatar, in these countries, you will never attain citizenship. But they allow you to go and work. They check if you have they do your background to see if you have crime or whatever. And then they allow people to come and work 4 years, 5 years. Don't grant them citizenship if you don't want to, but for God's sake, give them some papers so they can legally work. They can come in and out of the country. They will keep coming. There is no way that you will, even if you put a wall as the wall of China, people will find a way to cross it.
Yes.
Let's be realistic about it.
I completely agree. The idea for me as an individual, the idea of a southern wall absolutely makes no sense to me, right? It's just a political malady. Now, do I think that as a country we have a responsibility to create or work on an immigration process that actually works as a matter of priority? We do, right? And the first responsibility goes to employers like myself, right? There's millions of employers in America that are the reasons why people are migrating to America. Because if we did not offer jobs to immigrants that are undocumented, do you think they would come to America? They would not. They come because we give them an opportunity to work. And so if we want to keep our economic wheel spinning in the right direction, do we not as a country have a responsibility to create an environment where employers can employ people in the right way, and that they, like you are suggesting, have a way to come in and out of the country in a legitimate way?
Absolutely. I mean, but they don't want to. Many people said, no, if they come, they need to have a path towards citizenship. Why?
It's not the goal. It's not the goal for most immigrants.
Let's talk about giving just work permits. That will be a way. And limit those work permits to 2 years, 3 years. Why also people are coming? Because there are many jobs that many Americans don't want to do anymore.
That is right.
As simple as that, we have a total vacancy in many of the trades. We need plumbers, we need welders, people also. That's another thing that maybe we need to think about. Maybe all our youngsters need to go to college and pay and get into all of those debts. There aren't any other jobs that also will make sense and pay good salaries as well. Does everyone and anybody need a college degree to go and then work for an hour at Starbucks?
No.
Absolutely.
I mean, you're touching things that are really sincere and near and dear to my heart, right? Education is one of those. Like, it's wild to see how much education has failed Americans, right? The amount of debt that is being created because we are trying to go after education, and we've not educated our youth accordingly so that they can choose a career that if they risk going to college and risk taking that debt, they can be able to pay that debt and get out of debt very quickly. That is not happening. Instead, we're creating this huge deficit that we're not able to sustain. And so, again, you've traveled to all these countries in the world. Walk us through, those of us who don't know, how are they educating their youth compared to what we're doing in America?
Well, I just want to go now and say something about one of the things that I saw in all of these countries, including Mexico, is that we don't have the problem of massive gun, attacks to schools like over here.
Mm-hmm.
Because we are a rich country and we have all of these possibilities, and everyone, at least can eat and live in a house or whatever. And then you see all those problems seeping through. And And I remember when I first came here, I remember the first shooting in Columbine. I remember that one that was 20 some years ago. And now you hear about, and it was like a big deal. Now they happen almost on a weekly or monthly basis, and we're not even sensitized anymore. We're desensitized. We just think, oh, one more. That's not normal. And it's not normal in Latin America. It's not normal in Europe. It's not normal in India. It was not normal in Mexico. And why is so different there than here? And we have to ask ourselves, maybe are we also working in this country or living in this country only to work and work and work and pay for a bigger house, a bigger car, a bigger, more. What I felt and I saw in most of the other countries, and they can call it third world countries, is they had people have less, definitely less in material things, maybe a smaller car, a smaller house, but people live, people talk to each other. There is a sense of village. There is a sense of community. There is a sense of responsibility of taking care of even my kids' neighbor, my neighbor's kids. I'm sorry. There is a different feeling of family, of kids. Parents are in a hurry to kick their kids out of their house when they turn 18. No,
that's an American thing.
There is no policy. An open door policy where those kids can come back anytime. If they fall into a hard time, they know that they have family, that they have their parents, there is grandpa, grandma. Also, many of these countries are smaller maybe. People tend to live in the same place. The dynamics of the US are different. People move wherever there is a job. Sometimes families don't live close to each other. The cities are large. I know all of that, but I think it is a moment for all of us to reflect. What are we doing so different, so wrong here? That is not working. It's not working anymore. It's creating so many problems. It's funny, to me when people say, well, we have the right to bear arms, and we see kids 18 buying an arm. They are legally allowed to. Does it make sense that I can send my kid to the army at that age and he can go to war and kill someone at the age of 18 and use a rifle, but he's not able to drink a beer? So, something, we need to go deep into those subjects. Do we really need to allow people to buy these rifles? Can we limit those? Can you say, well, maybe you can use your, have the right to have a pistol or something like that, but it's just so out of proportion. You can go to Walmart and you can find these things that look like bazookas, and no. And the whole thing is, it goes again to the division. Say, I have the right to bear arms, and then you have one political party on one side and then on the other, and it's this divisiveness and this hatred to each other. And it's like, can we, Australia was able to get rid of the guns. Why can't we? Why can't we?
Well,
why it is so? And people come and say, well, because guns will be on the hands of the bad people. And then they said, well, all those criminals that are crossing the border, let's go back to the immigration part, which is is it really the immigrants, the ones?
Lately, if you're watching the news, it seems like that is the agenda, right?
The agenda
is shifting the blame to immigrants.
Absolutely. But if you go and see the statistics, The immigrants are not the ones actually doing most of the crimes, are actually people who are Americans. And if you go to mass shootings, are actually the white male Americans, not even the African.
So
So
that
we need,
puts me at somewhere else that's really really interesting, right? You say the dynamics of America have become very different, but if I make the choice to migrate to America, and the motivation for my migration could be different. It could be I'm running away from a war-torn country, or I'm running away from a disease like we had the pandemic, or I'm running away from a bad marriage, or I'm running away to get better education. Let's say you found yourself in America as an immigrant, or you're running for better opportunities. America gives you that. How do you become an agent of change in your community, and how should immigrants bring and table their values into this culture where there is divisiveness, so that America can start shifting? That way we can leave a better country for the next generation.
I think the focus should be first on family. That should be any immigrant that is coming needs to keep that family unit together as if you were in your home country. Keep your family, keep your values, keep as much of that culture together. And then, I know that people don't like to talk about faith, but whatever you profess, keep it dear and near. Keep like-minded people. And I'm not going to say your same race, because then what is the point of it? We don't also mix and learn about the others. But find like-minded people, same value people, and hold on to those relationships, because those are really important. You might not be able to change the whole world, I said, but I can change the few people that are around me, or at least try to influence them. And by saying that, I'm saying my family, my closest relatives, and maybe a couple of friends, be the change that you want to see.
Yes, definitely.
Pretty much.
Definitely.
Kindness and love, and forgiveness also. And think about people as people, not as colors, not as religion, not as an accent or a background or a sexual identity too. I think we need to go to the level of saying, people are people. They're human beings. When we take away humanity from people, then that's where the problem comes. When we say, they are less than human, they are evil,
less than American,
and then less than American, then we dehumanize people. And when you dehumanize people, then it is easy to do all kind of atrocious things against them. And we know that. We have World War II as an example. We have all the attacks that have been done in Africa, also between one tribe to another. So,
Ms. Dubraska, some people are going to say, or will bring the argument that war is necessary.
God, I'm a pacifist. You see, I don't think war is necessary. I think war brings losses on both sides. Look what's happening now in Palestine, between Palestinians and Israelis.
Yep.
And that is something that it makes me really sad, because many Americans don't know that prior to Israel being created, there was a country there that was called Palestine. And that country has been shrinking and shrinking because more people came in and occupied places that were for the Palestinians. So when you take away so much from people, what do you expect? anger and a response that sometimes is not the right one. I'm not saying I'm not pro Hamas. I'm not saying I'm pro Israel. I'm just looking at this as a human to a human being. You know, when I lived in the Middle East, I remember meeting a family of Palestinians in Abu Dhabi, and the person came out with a key. He said, "This is the key of my house that I left 50 years ago, that I can never go back because it was taken by Israel." So imagine if someone came now to your house here in Texas and say, "Get the hell out of here. Your house is now mine." How would you feel?
That would be tough.
Very tough, you know. And I don't care what many of the ultra Christians here said that was the land that God gave them. You know,
conservatives.
You know, there are laws for property that you need to respect. That family with that key had bought that land that was theirs. There is no law that can take also away that. So in that case, I'm going to make a similar argument. So what did we do, or the Mayflower did, when they came here and took away the land of all the indigenous people of the area?
Well, we formed an army and fought back. That's what the history says, right?
Oh, you know something? We need to see life. Life is not black and white.
I like how you think. I like how you think, Miss Dubraska. Now, because we're talking politics, let's get away from the kitchen and talk about politics, right? Because all these things in Amigo and all these things seem to marry each other, right? So it seems like the Republican Party in the U.S. has almost decided that Donald Trump is going to be their presidential candidate. He is not just a decisive president, and don't get me wrong, I have a lot to admire about this man. But my concern is that we've taken out the options of who becomes the president in America, because it's just incredible. For a country with over 300 million mostly intelligent people, we cannot look to find a younger person that can represent us, because the choice we have from the Democratic Party is not any better. And so, as immigrant parents who migrated to the US, some of us have had our children here. What is our responsibility to raise children who can start looking to become agents of change in America? That we're not left with the options we have now.
We are in a scary moment in our life.
Yes.
Imagine what we have. We have a crook, you know, a man whose business, all of his business has gone to bankruptcy, by the way, who has defrauded and defaulted most of his creditors. And people still love him. They have made him into a god. That is scary. That will forgive him anything and everything.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, we have an old man that might have been a good politician many years ago, but he is, you know, he doesn't represent what I would like to see in America. And then you say, who is even able to come and challenge these people? Because obviously almost nobody wants to, and the few that did, and the Republican Party got crushed like ants, because they're also afraid of this man for some reason. And on this side, I'm surprised, you know. I will have to say again, I mean, now this bridge came down, and I really, really like Pete Buttigieg. I think he's an outstanding young man. He served in the army, but who's gonna elect the first gay president in the United States, you know?
You're pushing it, young lady. You're pushing it.
But amongst all the people that I have seen in the Democratic party, I will say this is the best, well-spoken, respectful, highly educated, speak a bunch of different languages. This is a man to reckon with.
Yes.
But because our country, yes, he is. He's young. I will say he really has what it takes to get there. I don't know. I hope he hears what I'm saying now. I have seen his response now to the accident now in the bridge in Baltimore. He looks presidential. Are we prepared to have a man like him?
Prepared
Probably.
to have a young president is what you're asking, right?
Mm-hmm. And
I'm hoping the Democratic Party will surprise us. I don't know.
But I'm talking about him as a person. I'm not talking about his sexual.
And this takes us back to where we started, right? How do we look at people? We should be looking at people as people and not tagging them into different classifications, right?
Absolutely. And he's a qualified young man, smart, well prepared. And I am sad that we end up with these two clowns. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Talking about clowns.
We could have somebody like the Republican from Utah. Oh my God, I lost now my Mitt Romney. But now he was almost banished from the Republican Party. He is a true entrepreneur, a decent man, somebody to reckon with. But that also shows who we are as a country and what do we like. Do we like
That's not
like
risky
this?
enough for America. Mitt Romney is not risky enough for America. He's too safe. We need risky. We need to risk in an old Biden. We need to risk in a fiery Trump, right? That you don't know what's coming. That's kind of, we want something that keeps us exciting as a country.
Are we really looking at ourselves and saying, what are all the other countries saying about us, thinking of who we are?
I don't think that has been an issue for America, though. I don't think Americans worry about what everybody else is thinking about them. And that probably speaks to our ignorance.
Absolutely. And another thing is, we want a reality TV show for president, really?
Yeah.
That's what we want, that clown? So, yeah, and I mean, other things that probably we don't have much time to talk about is the fact that if Trump comes into power, trust me that the health insurance that we have been able to buy through the National Health Care Act, that's going to be taken away because it was known as Obamacare. And whatever is going to happen to that if Trump wins, it's going to affect all of those trumpet people or Trumpistas, because most of them are using that health insurance and they don't understand that by voting these men, that prerogative of getting health insurance is gonna go away too. So I think it's very important that people get educated and see what the facts and what the consequences will be if this man comes into power, or if we leave this other wash out old man power. I think that is bad and that is worse.
Oh my goodness.
It's sad. It is really sad that we have to decide between dying from a stroke or dying from a heart attack. That's how I put it this way now, between one and the other.
Okay.
So,
and I don't want to say anymore. I think up for us.
Can we get back to food?
I guess so. Let's go back to food and say that food, no matter which political party you represent, no matter if you are a liberal or a conservative, food is love. Food unites us, and I do hope that
humanity prevails, that common sense and love prevails, that mental sanity that we need in this country also prevails, and that family above all also prevails, because that's the most important thing. No matter what happens around, no matter if Trump or the other wins or whoever wins, life will go on, and we need
Yes,
to hold on to our values, what we know is dear, and get together with those who are like-minded. The world, whoever is in there will be there, but we need to have that peace in mind in our hearts, that we can come out victorious despite of what is going on around in this country or around the world, because otherwise it will be too depressing, for God's sake. It will be like devastating. So I look at life with a positive and look at the glass always half full. No matter what happens, I'm gonna keep
optimism.
going. I'm gonna keep fighting the good fight, doing the good walk.
Chef
That's it.
Dubraska, given your global culinary experience, especially when you start thinking about cooking, what is a dish you have created that tells a story from your past? It reminds you of what you want your future to be and brings people together.
Oh my Lord. Oof, that is a hard one. Imagine choosing only one dish. I will have to say that there is a Venezuelan dish called la yaca, and it's like a tamal. Okay, and I think in every culture you have something that is feel a dish that is so humble, but it fills your heart and your soul. And this is made on a plantain leaf with some cornmeal and filled with whatever you have. So in our case, it has meats and vegetables and a little bit of garbanzo beans, and it has, I said, a heart. You can put a heart to that with some olives and capers and raisins, so it has a little bit of sweet and savory. It has ingredients from European background, but it has ingredients that are very American, like corn, and it has a lot of African tones to it, because actually that was the dish that most of the Africans or enslaved people that came to my country had to eat at the beginning. So to me, that dish in particular represents my whole world, and it represents my country of birth, and it represents probably the future, because it's a mixture of all kind of things in one little package wrapped in banana, plantains, leaves, and tied up in a string as a little bundle of joy. So that should be probably mine.
Looking
I
back
make it.
to MasterChef Latino, could you share an off-camera lesson or experience that significantly impacted your perspective on food and getting food ready for people to enjoy?
Well, definitely it was a very important experience in my life. It was also a traumatic experience for me, because there was so much stress. I came out of the show with anxiety attacks, but I learned a lot of things. I learned that, all of these contestants, they came from different backgrounds, from different countries, and they brought their food, their culture, their love. I think we all, the 15 participants, share the same thing, passion for food. I think that the show made me understand something, that there was so much more to learn. And that's why after the show, I also went back to culinary school, because, and I feel that every day there is something that you need to learn. There is opportunities for growth, for becoming better, from upping your game and getting it better. So I think MasterChef was also a humbling experience. I thought that I knew a lot of things, but really I know so little. And I think I look at my life now as more as a sponge. Let me absorb things and see how much I can collect, and let me wring out what is not worth keeping, and let's absorbing whatever is good and retain the things that are good, and leave outside what is not good. I think it also taught me that no matter what is a reality show, it's a show.
Yeah.
That's not real life either.
Yeah.
Real life is what you make of yourself, Yes, that gave me a platform to create or expand my brand or my name, but that didn't give me any financial revenue or anything. All my customers, whatever Dubraska's Delights is and will be, it has been because it has taken me a truckload of work and sacrifice. And it's the product, what I have offered people, what it has brought me any satisfaction or benefits.
Excellent.
So a reality show will take you this far. Hard work will take you this far, And that's what I want to tell people, and youngsters mainly, who think that, being a reality star or a YouTuber or an influencer is a job. No, I'm not an influencer, although I have, a bunch of followers. I don't consider myself an influencer. I influence, if I can, my children. And I don't know, but I'll try. So the hard work and whatever you are is what you make out of it. And it's not these fake things. Social media is good, but it's good to a certain point. To understand that the reality, to be profitable, to get a business going, yes, you use all those tools, but it's really hard work. There is no magic thing. There is no magic one, like 1, 2, 3, hey, bibbidi bobbidi boop, and it's gonna become a successful business. No, it's hours and hours of work. It's trial and error. It's getting educated. It's investing money, time, brain, and sweat into your vision, your dream. And it's also learning and maybe changing routes if you need to. If something doesn't work, don't keep hitting that horse. Just saddle up again and continue on a different route. So that's my advice.
I have to ask you a question that I've asked a lot of entrepreneurs on this show. And that is, how do you deal with failure?
Boy, you cry, you learn, you get up again, and you don't do that again. You find a new way of doing it. So failure doesn't mean that you are completely kaboom, that you fail. Failure means one more thing that you cannot do anymore, that you need to do it in a different way. So you at least learn one more way that thing cannot be done.
Experience is the mother invention. That's fantastic, right?
And then, I don't think it's failure. It's actually learning. I wouldn't even call it failure.
Right.
It's learning. Trial and error. That's it.
That's
Keep going.
Right. That's how you succeed. That's how you succeed.
And they feel tired. Very important. Breathe. Take some time to think, to reflect on that not successful experience, and then get up again and keep going. That's it. There is no other way.
Fantastic. Chef Dubraska, tell us how people can reach out to you on social media, or where can we find you?
Well, you can find me through dubraskas.delights on Instagram and TikTok. My Facebook page got hacked, so that's not anymore. You can also find me on my website at dubraskasdelights.com. And we can leave also my phone number. You can email me,
Fantastic.
social media, and now you can also find me on Threads, by the way.
Excellent. Excellent. I have one more very interesting question for you. When you're thinking food, I'm assuming you're starting with what was you as a little girl. You're bringing yourself from Venezuela, and here you are. You have married a gentleman from Lebanon, and you have intersected his culture into your culture. So, have you created a dish that complements what you really value in your own food and his values in his food to create a dish that works for both of you?
You know something? This is funny, but there is a dish that has something from both of us. And my husband, there is these rolls of cabbage with meat and rice inside that are called malfouf in his culture and the Arab world. But there is something from mine. And remember that Spain had the Arabs for about 800 years. So I think there is something that we received. I come from the mountains in Venezuela, and the Spanish influence is very high. So we have something called indios. I don't know what they're called, indios, but it's, again, cornmeal on top of a cabbage leaf with the same kind of meat and rice, and it has eggs and capers, and all of that is rolled up and cooked in a tomato sauce. So my husband calls that the Venezuelan malfouf. So I think it has something from both of us. My kids and my love it because it had the cornmeal, the Latin flavors, but it also has the cabbage and the meat and the stuff rolled up in a tomato sauce, and it's very flavorful, and it's a full meal. It has everything. It has the protein, the carbohydrate, the vegetable, the fiber, the tomato. It is comforting because it's almost like a soupy thing. It's just delicious. So
Excellent.
maybe
Very good. So, Chef Dubraska, we appreciate your time, and I do not want to take advantage of you. We're coming to the top of the hour. If you are speaking to immigrants today from your heart, what would you want to leave with them? That way, one, they can remember you, and two, they can remember what you said that changed their lives completely.
to never give up. That's my best advice. Wherever you go, take the best from you, your culture, and never give up. Be grateful also of the place that you go to. Be grateful for the experiences that you are gonna live in the new place. Take whatever is good from that place. Learn from that place. Learn the culture. Learn the language. It's very important. You go to any country, you need to become part of that society. Doesn't mean that you have to do exactly what everybody else is doing, but you need to become an active member of the country and the society where you are becoming an immigrant, okay? Do not give up. Do not lose your roots. Also, keep your roots, keep your essence, but also accept and be grateful for the new things that you're gonna receive. Do not live in the past. Move forward. Move forward. Because if you live in the past only, you will never be able to have success in the new place you get. So I'm not saying that you're gonna say goodbye and cut our ties. No, you take whatever is best and you bring it and you develop it even more beautiful in the new place that you are, with thankfulness and gratefulness. doing always the best that you can. That's it. Nothing else.
Chef Dubraska, we really, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming to the Immigrant Podcast. You are amazing. I hope we can have you back soon one of these fine days. Again, one more time, please tell our listeners where they can find you.
Instagram, TikTok, and Threads, dubraskas.delights, or my webpage, dubraskasdelights.com.
Thank you so very much. Thank you for your time again, and have a wonderful life. Talk to you soon.
Thank you for having me, and best wishes to you all and all those immigrants. Pa'lante. Move forward.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.